Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we're going to have the latest from the live radar. We're for the UKV, looking at the precipitation and the temperature over the next 5 days. It is reasonably unsettled and mild at the moment, but we are going to be seeing a big change as we head towards the second half of this week. By Thursday into Friday we're going to be seeing a cold northerly wind starting to push in, and it is going to bring below average temperatures for all, potentially considerably below average in some areas. The risk of overnight frosts and wintry showers returns for the weekend, and some runs like the GFS today, as we see in the longer range, actually holds on to these colder conditions for not only just a few days, but perhaps for longer periods, perhaps all the way towards the end of March. So it is definitely going to be turning colder later this week. At this stage though, the severity is not exactly pinpointed, but we do have a good idea of what it will be. The longevity, though, is something that still is all up in the air. We'll have a look at that in detail in the second half of the video. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, make sure you like and subscribe. And remember to follow me on Twitter as well. The link's in the description. Now, if you start on the live radar, you can see a precipitation band is moving in from the west at the moment. It is going to slowly fizzle away through this evening, so for many to the east of this, it'll only be an area of light to moderate rain falling in the overnight hours. But where it has pushed through today, it has been heavy, especially over the high ground, just resembling the generally unsettled conditions we do have around at the moment. Now, as of this evening, still very mild temperatures in the low teens still, but I don't think we'll see much above 7 or 8 degrees come the weekend into next week, as we do see that cold air return. You can see Northern and Western Europe in general is pretty mild at the moment. You can see Eastern Europe in towards Russia, and Scandinavia is still very cold, and we're going to be seeing some of this sort of air coming our way in the next week or so. Now, if you look at the latest UKV, you can see that precipitation band slowly spreading eastwards over the coming hours, fizzling away overnight, and as we head into tomorrow, it's another dry day with some showers around. Thick clouds still in places, so it's not going to feel all too great out there, but if you did see a bit of a break in that cloud, wouldn't feel too bad. Temperatures still in the low to mid-teens. As we enter Wednesday, though, another spell of rain moving in from the west, and it will be pretty unsettled overnight, but hopefully for most of daylight hours, the heaviest stuff does move away, but we do still see some lingering thick cloud and areas of lighter rain and drizzle. As we head into Thursday, another area of precipitation, but look where it comes from. It comes from the northwest, as this is the change in that wind direction. And then as we head into Friday, start to see a few snow showers developing across parts of Scotland over the higher ground, and then potentially more wintry showers pushing in as we see colder air starting to arrive and quite widespread showers with wintriness widely over the hills as this northerly flow does arrive. Again, not all areas are going to see wintry showers. We are very late in the year now to be seeing anything too significant, but the risk is still there of something a little bit wintry in places. For most, though, it's going to be those temperatures that are going to feel well below average, with quite a strong wind chill out there, and the overnight frosts, which are coming after a spell of pretty warm, mild weather, so could cause some issues if we've got gardeners watching. You can see it still is a showery air mass, even though it's coming in from the north, drier air direction, it still is going to be showery. So we could see plenty of hit and miss showers in places. You can see the upper air temperatures around average or above average at the moment. And then you can see slowly as we head into the latter part of the week, the cold air to our northwest creeps in and then suddenly makes a surge as we head into Friday. And you can see it does consume the whole country. And we stay with this sort of north to northeasterly flow. Upper air temperatures don't look like they'll drop much below -5 to -7, so it's not a bitterly cold air mass, but it is still a good 5 to 10 degrees colder than average for the time of year. We can see this emphasised on the 2-metre temperatures. You can see this afternoon, 14, 15 degrees. Take note of that, because come Saturday, temperatures will be as much as 5 to 10 degrees colder. If you do look at tomorrow's temperatures, again, could reach 14 to 16 degrees, depending on cloud amounts and, of course, precipitation. And then as we head into Wednesday, we could again see similar conditions in the southeast, 15 or 16 degrees, so very mild indeed. Further north to westwards, cooler of course. And then as we head finally into Thursday, starts to cool down in the north, but still mild in the southeast. But look at Friday, big transition day, colder in the north, below freezing over higher ground or mid-single digits, but still 10 to 12 degrees. And then look into Saturday. The temperatures not getting much above 5 to 8 degrees for many areas, even low-lying areas remaining pretty chilly. And of course, add on that northerly flow. If we look at the wind gusts, you see pretty strong wind gusts and the wind direction coming in from the north. It is going to make it feel a lot colder than 7 or 8 degrees, more like 3 or 4. So going to be a real chill arriving by the weekend. Now, if you look at the sort of larger scale picture, look at the synoptics here. Again, you can see southwesties at the moment, but northwesties will be arriving, transitioning into a northerly, and this is where we start to see a little bit of divergence in the models. Now, the GFS builds that high pressure northwards and actually keeps north or northeasterly flows all the way into next week. And that's why I said at the start of the video, the intensity we've got pretty spot on now with this cold pattern. Not much deviation with the ensembles, but it's the longevity. The GFS here goes pretty sustained for most of next week with some sort of easterly wind, where eventually southwesterlies break through. Now, if you run back to the end of this week, you see the -5 isotherm pushing in. That's expected. All runs pretty much get there. But then the GFS keeps pushing in northeasterlies, keeping us cold all the way to the end of the following week. And then as we head into the final days of March, we start to go a little bit milder. So even though it's not ridiculously intense in terms of colder patterns, it is pretty long lasting here from the GFS. And this time of year, we are actually considerably below average. If you look at those temperature deviations, we are looking at a good 6 to 8 degrees below average, maybe locally higher than that, for eventually turning above average into the final day or two of March. Now, the GM is similar in terms of the next sort of 5 to 7 days, but it does deviate slightly beyond that. Again, west or southwesterly winds, eventually northwesterlies transition to a northerly arrives, but we don't see that ridging further northwards. It still is there, not strong enough to push northeasterly, but what it does do is push the jet stream southwards. And we see these sliding lows, and that could cause very unsettled conditions. In the winter, we would say potentially some heavy snow, but given this scenario, most likely just going to be lots of cold rain. You can see the upper air temperatures aren't cold enough to see anything significant, but are cold enough to make it feel pretty miserable out there. So GM is not quite as cold, but it's still chilly, still below average, but it is quite a bit more unsettled with these sliding lows, that northwest-southeast alignment of the jet stream. Now, if you finally compare it to the ECMWF, again, southwesties pushing in, northerlies arrive by the end of the week, but those northerlies do break down, and similar to the GM, we see a southerly tracking jet stream, not a strong block towards Greenland, which means that we do see more low pressure sat over the top of us than further southwards. So this will mean milder air could get a little bit closer here. Doesn't mean mild air will dominate, still is looking average to below average, but you can see some slightly above average air tries to mix in by date, and going to be one to keep a very close eye on. Now, if you finish by looking at the latest ensemble, we see it's above average over the coming days, but look at this drop, around 15 degrees at 850 HPA, drop down towards -5 to -7 by the end of the week, and we stay there for quite a period of time for the majority of ensemble members, for a good 4 or 5 days, maybe even 7 or 8 days, like the GFS operational run, before eventually we trend back towards average with quite chilly conditions, still at temperatures around average or still maybe below average, which gives the indication that we'll be turning back towards a low pressure sat over the top of us, but it will be quite a bit colder still with that southerly tracking lows. Now, you can see 2 meter temperatures are going to take a massive dip, 14 to 16 degrees over the coming days, 7 or 8 by the weekend. Slowly, of course, getting warmer in the longer term. We can't hang on to cold conditions indefinitely, but still could last a good 5 or 6 days there. The risk of snow is very minimal, I must say, for London, but there are some spikes here, and that's because the dew points, as you can see, are getting towards freezing, which means with evaporated cooling, overnight temperatures, the possibility of snow is there. But as I said, it is highly unlikely. And then if we finish by looking at the latest ECMWF, unfortunately we can't have a look at the midday, but similar picture from the midnight well above average at the moment, below average as we head towards the end of the week. Maybe not quite as sustained or as significantly below average as the GFS, but still a good 5+ degrees below average, and then slowly trending back towards average, but with again increasing precipitation giving indication of cool and unsettled conditions even into the longer term. Even as the well below average conditions do start to diminish, it stays chilly and stays pretty unsettled. So if you've enjoyed the milder weather we've had at the moment, of course it's been unsettled, it's not been dry and mild, but it has been mild, mid-teens in places over the past week or so. It's all going to be changing by the end of this week. We have been hinting at this for a number of weeks now, and finally something colder is arriving. It's nothing significant, I must emphasize that, but it is going to feel chilly. Frosts are looking quite likely. Wintry showers for summer, just generally a feel-like temperature of back like we are in the middle of winter. So do make sure you get your hand gloves out, maybe a winter coat once again. Hopefully it won't last all too long, maybe a week or two at most, because of course come mid-April, end of April, we'll be starting to look at the possibility of 20-degree temperature, maybe even 25-degree, and even a small chance of 30 degrees in May. So we're not too far away of actually seeing some proper warmth, maybe 4 to 6 weeks. But for the time being, still got some remnants of winter hanging about. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.